Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is day 6 of the 21 days. And the quote that was posted today is the following. I focus on the positive because the thoughts I think and the words I speak create my experience. So that's funny, Unity of Santa Fe, that's right up the road for me. Thanks for posting this. And I want to do a reframe on this because this is what I see happens. I am a believer that thoughts are things to a degree. But I also think what happens when we can't move our thoughts to a positive place. And I told this story so many times, 12 years ago now, when I was in the midst of a very strong financial debacle and I did not sleep through the night for the year. I was punishing myself because I would fall asleep every night, but I would wake up about 2 o'clock in the morning and I would freak out. And I was judging myself and making myself wrong that I couldn't think positive. And if you know any of the neuroscience behind this, we can't just make the leap from, say, the pit of despair to being positive. And there's a term, toxic positivity, which I think gets practiced often. And what we do is then we're in denial, unknowingly or knowingly, of really the stuff that's within us. And the way I look at negative emotion is it's there as a guide. It's there to help us see something needs my attention here. What happens is I've found people feel that and they're like, I don't ever want to feel that again. And if you have ever heard the work of Byron Katie, she often talks about, basically I welcome this feeling again. I welcome it. And first time I heard that, I was like, what? No. But it's very much like allowing it in instead of doing this spiritual bypass that we do on like, oh, I should be thinking positive here. If I think positive, things are going to turn around for me. And yet the problem was if our brain has a lot of momentum going to the negative, we're to the negative. I'm going to take my glasses off. We've got a lot of momentum going towards the negative. You cannot just make the leap to the positive. And I have found, and I found this with clients, that with all that momentum going, it's like when you're trying to think positive, often I find we beat ourselves up because I can't just think positively about this. When it's like letting the air out, it's like, God, if I just allow myself to be where I'm at right now and honor and acknowledge that, and the beauty is used tapping to do that, like, this sucks. I hate where I'm at right now. I don't like this. That emotion can very likely intensify when you're tapping, but that's a really, really, really good sign that you've targeted something that needs to be released. And it might intensify more, but if you tap on it enough, it's literally going to let go. It will dispel over time. And that's what I've seen work so many times. So that, I focus on positive thoughts because the thoughts I think and the words I speak create my experience. If you're in the pit of despair, ask someone who's in a war-torn country in the middle of dealing with, just think positive thoughts and you'll get out of this. Just think positive thoughts and it's going to be okay. Try and imagine saying that to someone in another country or anywhere that's in the pit of despair. In our own country, the wars that go on within our own country, that they're in an area where they're living and it's like they're just trying to survive. But your thoughts, and if you say that to someone who's dealing with that, it often has the counter effect because they're dealing with seriousness in life. But what I've found is when you go into that and you honor it, and if you can withstand that feeling of like, but this might intensify first, but it is going to dispel, you will find relief. So thank you so much for posting this. So karate chop, even though I hear it all the time, I'm supposed to focus on the positive. Sometimes I can do that and it feels really good. And sometimes it just makes me feel bad because I can't seem to get there. I choose to honor I feel this way now. Even though I try to focus on the positive. But when I'm in a really down place, in the pit of despair, that doesn't feel very accessible to me. And what if that's totally okay? I choose to honor my feelings now. Even though I hear about it all the time. Think positive. Talk positive. But I'm just not in that space right now. And what if I can make that okay? And go to the eyebrow. I gotta think positive. But I can't right now. I might have tried really hard, but I just can't get there. Maybe I feel a little relief. Maybe I feel none at all. Maybe I end up doubling down on myself. Because now I'm just punishing myself. Because I can't think positive. And what if it's totally okay to feel whatever I'm feeling? To think whatever I'm thinking? And what if I can do that with mindfulness? Be aware of what's going on inside of me. And what if I can use tapping to dive deeper into the muck I feel like I'm in right now? And what if over time, by doing this, I find relief? What if that could be possible? And even likely. And what if I feel some relief right now? Just honoring my humanity. That it's not about thinking positive all the time. What if it's about honoring my truth and my true experience? And what if by doing this, I find I naturally start to think less negatively without trying to think positive? And what if that's evidence I'm shifting my physiology because I feel less negative? And what if by noticing these little wins, over time, I start to feel lighter and I feel positive naturally without having to try to think positive, without being mean to myself anymore, because I can't just get there. And what if that creates more positivity that's natural and easy for me as I honor my truth and give it a voice? So take a breath. This, to me, this is so important. And I feel like even in for the world of forgiveness, I've talked about this before. There's the sayings like, be the first to forgive. Anger is like a hot coal, thinking you're going to burn someone else and you burn yourself, whatever way that goes. But it's all really ultimately pretty punitive. If you're really angry and somebody's like, anger is like a hot coal, you're going to be like, what? That's why I love tapping, because it allows you to go to that place, tap through it. And I have found this in my own life. When I was in that financial debacle 12 years ago and I couldn't eke out a positive thought, and let me tell you, I tried every single day, every day for an entire year. I was like, I've got to think positive. I couldn't. And when my whole body broke out in hives and I was having all these physical issues, all of a sudden I was like, it just came to me, Marti, you're killing yourself trying to think positive. That's what you're doing. And I woke up from that nightmare and I just said that day, I was going to find one thing, the tiniest speck of something that I could just feel okay about. Like I said, that person let me into traffic. The cashier smiled when I paid for something. That was it. 99% of my thoughts during the day might have been in the shitter. But that one, I didn't go to bed without that one thing. But what I noticed is it was like I stopped pressurizing myself to be in a state of mind that I couldn't be in. I allowed all of these negative thoughts to be there. And then eventually I found tapping. And then I was able to go into the tapping and really into those emotions. And what I found is this is how my progression was. I started to feel less negative. Maybe 1%, maybe 5%. I wasn't feeling positive at all, but I was just feeling less negative than I had been. And I was like, that's a win. I'm not in the pit of despair. I might have taken a step out of it. And every day I would notice these tiny little incremental shifts of less negativity, nothing positive, less negative. And before I know it, a few months in, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually naturally having more optimistic thoughts that come to me without having to try to manufacture them. And that made me think about the program I did, Break Free, and then I did Break Free 2.0. It was that 60-day accelerated program. And it was 60 days that we were together. We did Monday through Friday, and then the weekends people had their buddy that they hooked up with. But it's for those 60 days we got together every morning for an hour and we tapped and worked on what was coming up for people. And in neuroscience, every thought we think emits 50 to 70,000 neurochemicals. The more you think a thought, the more you're creating more like that. And you might be like, well, see, I'm supposed to think positive. But the problem is when you have momentum of thought going, you can't just stop it. And that's why tapping allows the truth. And you get to tap through it. Might spike, you might feel more intensely, but then it lets go. And then you don't have to try to think positive. You don't have to try to speak words and of positivity. You get to allow your truth. And naturally, what I find, the negative just dissipates and it starts to go away. And then you start to, without trying to, feel more optimistic. So thank you so much for this post. Appreciate it. And then we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 7. We'll be a week in, third of the way in already. Bye for now.